Today is June 15th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we're going to be continuing our journey through the family Afterward by reading the core text pages 128 and 129. We're going to continue our personal story, They Lost Nearly All, Listening to the Wind, by reading the second half of page 465. And now the 12 and 12, we are going to begin tradition number 9 by reading page 172. So with all that, hope you're doing well, my friends. We've been given a brand new set of 24 hours once again. That's always a good thing. Fresh start, clean slate. We can learn a little bit from yesterday to be better for those we love today. So let's go ahead and press on and get to the good stuff. So if you recall from yesterday's reading in the family Afterward, we left off at a point where if everybody would look inward and see where everybody's at fault instead of pointing all the fingers toward one, that might help everyone in the long run. It says here on 127, each member of a resentful family begins to see his shortcomings and admits them to the others. He lays the basis for a helpful discussion. And it was like we were talking about, to make whole, be whole. A lot of times I've heard the saying, we need to be the change that we want to see. It says here, these family talks will be constructive if they can be carried on without heated argument, self-pity, self-justification, or resentful criticism. So we're going to build on that thought by reading pages 128 and 129. Assume, on the other hand, that Father has, at the outset, a stirring spiritual experience. Overnight, as it were, he is a different man. He becomes a religious enthusiast. He is unable to focus on anything else. As soon as his sobriety begins to be taken as a matter of course, the family may look at their strange new dad with apprehension, and then with irritation. There's talk about spiritual matters morning, noon, and night. He may demand that the family find God in a hurry, or exhibit amazing indifference to them, and say that he is above worldly considerations. He may tell Mother, who has been religious all her life, that she doesn't know what it's all about, and that she had better get his brand of spirituality while there's yet time. When Father takes this tack, the family may react unfavorably. They may be jealous of a God who has stolen Dad's affections. While grateful that he drinks no more, they may not like the idea that God has accomplished the miracle where they failed. They often forget Father was beyond human aid. They may not see why their love and devotion did not straighten him out. Dad is not so spiritual after all, they say. If he means to right his past wrongs, why all this concern for everyone in the world but his family? What about his talk that God will take care of them? They suspect the Father is a bit balmy. He is not so unbalanced as they might think. Many of us have experienced Dad's elation. We have indulged in spiritual intoxication. Like a gaunt prospector, belt drawn in over the last ounce of food. Our pick struck gold. Joy at our release from a lifetime of frustration knew no bounds. Father feels he has struck something better than gold. For a time he may try to hug the new treasure to himself. He may not see at once that he has barely scratched a limitless load, which will pay dividends only if he mines it for the rest of his life and insists on giving away the entire product. If the family cooperates, Dad will soon see that he is suffering from a distortion of values. He will perceive that his spiritual growth is lopsided. That for an average man like himself, a spiritual life which does not include his family obligations may not be so perfect after all. If the family will appreciate that Dad's current behavior is but a phase of his development, all will be well. In the midst of an understanding and sympathetic family, these vagaries of Dad's spiritual infancy will quickly disappear. The outside may happen should the family condemn and criticize. Dad may feel that for years his drinking has placed him on the wrong side of every argument. But now he's become a superior person with God on his side. If the family persists in criticism, this fallacy may take still a greater hold on Father. Instead of treating the family as he should, he may retreat further into himself and feel that he has spiritual justification for so doing. Though the family does not fully agree with Dad's spiritual activities, they should let him have his head. Even if he displays a certain amount of neglect and irresponsibility toward the family, it is well to let him go as far as he likes in helping other alcoholics. During those first days of convalescence, this will do more to ensure his sobriety than anything else. Though some of his manifestations are alarming and disagreeable, we think Dad will be on a firmer foundation than the man who is placing business or professional success ahead of spiritual development. He will be less likely to drink again, and anything is preferable to that. Alright, some great stuff here. Definitely have something I want to talk about in just a minute. Great stuff. Alright, so in the personal story, Listening to the Wind, we're on page 465, and we're at a part where this woman is, if she's not hit rock bottom yet, it's very, very close, because she attempted to take her own life. The husband wrestled away the gun from her. The son's taken away by the authorities, and when our narrator comes back home, she finds that her husband's cheating on her. She ends up trying to run the guy down with her car. Serves more jail time. This time she's locked up in a ward. She comes back, and her home is empty. She's locked out of the house, and she's sitting outside of her back porch, I believe it was, in the snow, and guess what she's doing? She's drinking. So we're going to continue on that by reading the next paragraph of 465, finishing off the page today. One day I decided I better go to the laundromat and wash some clothes. There was a woman there with a couple of kids. She moved around quickly, folding the clothes and stacking them neatly in a couple of huge baskets. Where did she get her energy? Suddenly I realized I had to put my clothes into the dryers. I couldn't remember which washers I had put them in. I looked into probably 20 different washers. I made up my mind how to handle the situation. I would stay here until everyone else had left. I would keep whatever clothes were left behind, as well as my own. As the other woman finished her tasks, she was writing something down on a small piece of paper. She loaded her baskets and kids into her car and came back into the laundromat. She came right up to me and handed me the small blue paper. I couldn't make out what it said. I smiled politely and slurred a friendly thank you. Later, I made out the telephone number and the handwritten message below. If you ever want to stop drinking, call Alcoholics Anonymous 24 hours a day. Wow. All right. So we see right here, maybe sometimes an alcoholic can spot, they might be one of us. And maybe this woman was giving the telltale signs to this stranger that she might be an alcoholic. She is looking for her laundry after all, about 20 different dryers. So maybe this is the seed that can be planted and sprout into something beautiful here. As I've been saying the last week or so, as dark as this woman's past has been, and this is one of the darkest stories I've read so far in the 4th edition. She's in this story for a reason. She's in this book for a reason. So let's stay tuned for the miracle. And finally today we are on tradition number 9 of the 12 and 12. This is page 172. AA, as such, ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. When Tradition 9 was written, it was said that Alcoholics Anonymous needs the least possible organization. In years since then, we have changed our minds about that. Today, we are able to say with assurance that Alcoholics Anonymous, AA as a whole, should never be organized at all. Then, in seeming contradiction, we proceed to create special service boards and committees which in themselves are organized. How then can we have such an unorganized movement which can and does create a service organization for itself? Scanning this puzzler, people say, "What do you mean no organization?" Well, let's see. Did anyone ever hear of a nation, a church, a political party, even a benevolent association that had no membership rules? Did anyone ever hear of a society which could somehow discipline its members and enforce obedience to necessary rules and regulations? Doesn't nearly every society on earth give authority to some of its members to impose obedience upon the rest, and to punish or expel offenders? Therefore, every nation, in fact, every form of society, has to be a government administered by human beings. Power to direct or govern is the essence of organization everywhere. All right, so that concludes our reading in the 12 and 12 today. For the sake of time, I'll just hop into the core text of the family afterward. And this kind of goes back to what we were saying yesterday. I completely understand why the family may feel neglected. So I'm really grateful that we have this paragraph on 129. Says here, if the family cooperates, Dad will soon see that he is suffering from a distortion of values. He will perceive that his spiritual growth is lopsided. That for the average man like himself, a spiritual life which does not include his family obligations may not be so perfect after all. Further on in the program, the suffering alcoholic may be, if they're working the steps and doing what the big book teaches to do, most likely they'll see that, oh, I don't want to neglect my family. That their spiritual life might be a little lopsided. I also understand that, at the bottom of this page, it talks about, even if he displays a certain amount of neglect and irresponsibility toward the family, it is well to let him go as far as he likes in helping other alcoholics. During those first days, so the early days, of sobriety, that is crucial. Of convalescence, this will do more to ensure his sobriety than anything else. But, as time passes, of course, righting the wrongs and giving our family our undivided attention at times, it's a balancing act. It's not easy, but it can be done. But that's all we have time for today, guys. As always, I don't speak on behalf of AA or NA or Al-Anon or any other sect or denomination or religion. I'm just a guy, just a friend in recovery. I'm grateful that you're here with me today. If you are sober, you are a miracle. And I hope you hear that. But my friends, that's all we got for today. If we were given another set of 24 hours, I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.